Hi friends, it's good to see you. So in this video, which is going to be mostly related to information that you are going to need to know for your informative speech that you're going to be doing for this class. So this slides PowerPoint is going to be focusing on parts of the informative speech. And so I'm going to walk through what you need to be thinking about as you are preparing for that speech that you'll be giving. There's going to be four things that we cover in this PowerPoint. We're going to talk about the attention getters, how to start out your speech. We're going to talk about the thesis statement. We're going to talk about main points and then transition to the main points or in the body. So as you think about this, a lot of this isn't going to be rocket science, but I want to review it for you so that you can begin to think about what you are going to be writing. In fact, for our class today, you will be spending at least 20 to 30 minutes in time, which I'm going to call a workshop, where you're going to be drafting your informative speech. So let's talk first about intention getters. Do not start out your speech with dictionary definitions or questions. Questions like, have you thought about someone in your life who has emotional intelligence? Or Webster says emotional intelligence is defined as this. I want you to be more creative than that, and I want you to start it out with an anecdote, a story, or a startling fact or a quote. Try to paint an image for what you are going to be telling us. Now, during this video or during this time, I want you to stop and make a list right now. So pause the video and make a list of 3 possible attention-getting devices that you might be able to use for your informative speech, which is going to be on someone you know who has emotional intelligence. Okay, now that you come back to the video after thinking about possible ways to start out your informative speech, let's just review for a moment what the thesis statement does. So there's 3 main things you want to think about. You want to think about the topic, the claim, and how you're going to support it. So your thesis statement needs to describe your topic. Your thesis statement needs to provide a claim that you are making about your topic, and it needs to describe 3 ways in which you will support the claim that you're going to make. So this is the formula that I want you to follow as you're writing your thesis. The subject or the topic, the claim that you're making, and the 3 points that are going to support it. So for example, my subject is going to be my friend Melissa. And my claim is that she has emotional intelligence, and then my thesis statement should give you 3 reasons to support that claim. So let's pause again. Let's just practice writing thesis statements. Take these 2 statements and turn them into a thesis statement that has a subject, a claim, and 3 reasons that you can support that claim. Okay, pause the video and then come back. Okay, so here's my working thesis. My friend Melissa is someone who has shown me what it looks like to be emotionally intelligent. She is a professor, therapist, sister, mom, and recently became a widow. Although there are many emotionally intelligent characteristics that she has, I would like to share 3, A, B, and C. So look at this thesis statement that I'm providing for you an example. And the first thing I want to note is that it is okay to have 2 sentences for your thesis statement. I know that many of you in high school were told that you have to put it in 1, and that's fine. For your informative speech, it's fine if you have 1 or 2 sentences as your thesis statement. Now, my subject here is Melissa, and my claim is that she has many emotional intelligent characteristics. And my 3 points are going to be A, B, and C. Now, I haven't told you what those are yet, but this is a way to sort of shape up the thesis statement. Here's a couple of other templates that you could use for your thesis statement. So just take note of them. I'm trying to provide you resources to help you as you are working on your informative speech that you're going to be kind of drafting the outline for today. Okay, so now let's move on. We did the attention getters and we did the thesis statement. Now we need to think about the body of the speech. So these are your main points. I want you in your informative speech to have 3 main points. So here's the questions you need to think about. What are your main ideas or your main points? How should you organize the points? What transitional statements can you use to connect the 3 points? And then what sources do you need to cite in your informational speech that you're going to be giving? Okay, these are the things that I want you to be thinking about. Let's go and talk for a second about how you could organize your informative speech. There are typically 6 different ways. Chronological means you are putting the information in chronological order. What happened first, second, and third. Topical is you can decide. This is sort of like a free-for-all. You can decide whatever way you want to organize them. Spatially, you would organize them according to the spaces. So pretend that you're walking inside the house. The first thing you do when you walk inside the house, what space do you see? The entryway. So you describe the entryway, and then you walk a little bit further and you'd be in the living room. And then you'd go up the stairs and talk about the upstairs bedroom. So that's the idea of organizing things spatially. You could also organize them according to the climactic factor. So here, think about what you were taught about stories. Stories have this rising action up to the climax, and then the energy of the story comes down. So that might be a way that you want to organize your informative speech. You can think about cause and effect. What kind of cause does my friend Melissa's emotional intelligence have on me? How does it affect me? There might be 3 ways that it affects me. You could also do a compare and contrast. Here you can think about Venn diagrams, and you kind of see we're comparing whales and fish. And then in the middle, where the circles overlap, you can see where there is this comparison between the 2. Okay? So you're going to be thinking about how are you going to organize the main points of your informative speech. Here, if I'm giving you my speech about my friend Melissa, I'm going to talk about the first characteristic that I noticed was Melissa's listening skills, which related to relationship management aspect of emotional intelligence. And then the second characteristic I'm going to talk about is her resilience, and the third part that I'm going to talk about is humor. So now look at my 3 points that I have. I have her listening skills, her resilience, and humor. How did I organize my points? So really, my points were organized in a topical way, and so this was really just sort of, I just decided to do it this way. So be thinking about your points and how you're going to organize them. Now, here's something that I have noticed over the years, that students often fail to remember the transitional sentences or statements that you use to help connect the 3 main points. So I'm going to start this out with the first characteristic that I noticed was Melissa's listening skills. But somehow I have to have a transitional statement that gets me to the resilience. So I might say something like, along with her listening skills, Melissa has resilience. That would be the transition statement that I use to get to the second points, and I want to connect them. Now, often we think about, or our go-to is to say the first characteristic, the second characteristic, and the third characteristic. Look here at this slide. I want you to think beyond those descriptors. I don't want you to write first, second, and third. I want you to think about how might you use, look at the far left column here, the word furthermore, besides, finally, again. Or maybe you want to use the second to the end, or the second to the, it's the column that's headed to give an example. That would be a list of things that you could use to help with your transition statements. All right, so keep this in mind. Go back and look at this particular chart. I think you'll find it helpful as you're thinking about your informative speech. So we're at the conclusion. Now what? Here's what I want you to remember. It's really important in your informative speech and really in any of your writing in the conclusion to restate the thesis. Review the main points and then close it effectively. So here you're not adding additional content. What you're doing here is you're wrapping up your speech kind of like an Oreo. You start with the thesis statement, which is the cookie, and you end with the thesis statement, which is the other part of the cookie. Your main point is the stuffings that is in between those cookies, okay? So now what are you going to do? Now we're heading into our workshop time. So for the next 20 to 30 minutes, I have no way of keeping track if you're actually doing this, but I want you to use this time to help you get ready for your informative speech that you're going to be giving next week. I want you to write your outline, okay? You don't have to write the whole speech. What I want you to do is I want you to write the outline. Your outline needs to include what's underneath the introduction there, so the intention getter, the thesis statement. Right now you're drafting a thesis statement. You might change it later. Remember, your thesis statement needs to have 3 main points in it. Then you're going to write in this outline what your main points are. So that's going to be 3 main points that I'm asking for. And then you're going to just sort of write in your outline what the conclusion is, kind of restating the thesis, reviewing the main points, okay? Pretty much your outline should look exactly like this. And here's what your assignment is during this workshop time. After working on this, you need to send me a Google Doc, and you'll see my email there right on the slide for where to send your Google Doc. So this is your outline for your informative speech, and you need to send that to me by noon on Friday. All right? Have fun working on your informative speech.